This chart shows the offensive output of the two most dangerous rugby teams in the world right now. On the right, the Vodacom Bulls, the top offensive team in the United Rugby Championship, averaging 31.7 points and 4.6 tries per match. On the left, New Zealand's All Blacks average over 40 points and 6 tries a game. To understand this massive scoring gap, look at the carry meters. They chew up 1,098 meters of territory and execute 11 line breaks every single match. That raw distance is the result of a deliberate tactical philosophy. Instead of relying on slow, methodical set pieces like scrums and lineouts, New Zealand plays a relentless, high-tempo ball-in-hand style. They want the ball moving. They average 260 passes per game. That sheer volume of rapid ball movement stretches standard defensive structures until they eventually snap. They back up that speed with extreme efficiency, boasting an 81.4% tackle completion rate. And when they breach the opponent's 22-meter line, they walk away with points almost every time. New Zealand has engineered a statistically flawless rugby machine. But so far this year, this system has only been tested in the oxygen-rich, highly controlled environments of sea-level stadiums. The architect of this high-tempo identity is Damian McKenzie. This radar chart maps his individual performance metrics. McKenzie hits a perfect 100 index rating in both attacking and scoring, racking up 890 carry meters on his own. He embodies a strategy built on extreme cardio and constant motion. But the 2026 Greatest Rivalry Tour takes this system on the road for 8 grueling matches across South Africa, terminating in the hostility of venues like Ellis Park Stadium in Johannesburg. Ellis Park sits at 1,800 meters above sea level. At that elevation, the air is thin, stripping away the exact oxygen required to fuel McKenzie's high-speed game plan. This upcoming tour is a biological stress test of a system built for a completely different environment. At high altitudes, the body experiences hypoxia, a state of oxygen deprivation. When you exert peak physical effort in thin air, this lack of oxygen restricts blood flow and severely impairs executive brain function. A recent study in the Graduate Journal of Sports Science tested this phenomenon, measuring the decision-making speeds of rugby players subjected to simulated high-altitude conditions. This graph tracks cognitive reaction times. At sea level, athletes process decisions in 11.8 seconds. At 1,800 meters, that baseline jumps to 13.8. When you overlay continuous physical fatigue, the data shows an extreme cognitive deficit hitting right at the 15-minute mark. Remember New Zealand's 260 passes per game. That entire strategy relies on players making flawless split-second choices. At altitude, their biological ability to process those choices is compromised. Hypoxia creates a cognitive bottleneck. Mathematical models project this will cause a 1.19 times increase in unforced errors during the final 30 minutes of a match. That cognitive delay is compounded by a second variable, the accumulated fatigue of trans-meridian travel across an 8-match schedule. Clinical data on Super Rugby teams reveals that athletes lose up to an hour of sleep per night when traveling overseas. As this sleep debt compounds week over week, it actively degrades the body's ability to repair muscle. We are already seeing this attrition in real time. Within the first 2 weeks, key players like Billy Proctor and Damian McKenzie suffered severe injuries, exposing weaknesses in their squad depth. The Springboks, meanwhile, deploy a completely different strategy. They utilize massive squad depth to sub in an entire front row of fresh replacements, the bomb squad, late in the second half. When you pit New Zealand's travel-fatigued reserves against South Africa's fully rested reinforcements, the mathematical advantage shifts dramatically. It drives the All Blacks' projected scrum penalty probability up to 30% in the final phases of play. A 10,000-match Monte Carlo simulation for the Ellis Park test integrates this physiological data. The bell curve shows a 62.13 bypassing the physical wall of an oxygen-depleted defense. New Zealand's sea-level statistics prove they engineered a practically perfect offensive system. But true greatness in this sport requires adapting that system before the environment breaks it.
Welcome to Rugby Union,